In the 2024 NBA season, Shai Gilgeous Alexander led this young Oklahoma City Thunder team to the #1 seed in the Western Conference and solidified himself as a true star in the NBA. When you watch Shai operate on the court, you can see a player who is poised, focused, and in his own words, is consistent. There's not many times you see Shai step on the court and not show up for his team, as on the season, he averaged 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, while maintaining a true shooting percentage of 63.6%. I know some people like to downplay Shai's game and say that he's a free throw merchant and blah blah blah, but if you're a true fan of hoops and actually have love for the game, you can see exactly why Shai lives up to the hype around his name. Whether he needs to use that strength to hit the defender with that stun gun before going up, or if he has to get crafty with the handle to then open himself up for a bucket, Shai can show the defense many different moves and counters, making it entirely too difficult to contain him on the floor. When you're dealing with guys who like to get to the basket to jumpstart their game, you don't want to allow them to get a head of steam coming at you, or else it leaves you in the mercy of their hands. You can try to pressure him in the backcourt to slow him down, but with Shai's navigation in the open floor, he'll notice that this gap is being closed in and will be hard to shoot through. So with him knowing that Harrison Barnes won't be quick enough to slide over to stop him, Shai takes this wide angle around the slower Keegan Murray to get downhill, and with Malik Monk as the last line of defense, this layup is quite easy. In these fast break scenarios, it's like Shai is the fearless leader taking them into war head on, and with him being equipped with many moves, he can use this Euro to defeat this battle all alone. For some defenders, they'll think he's going to slow it down when coming up the floor, but that's exactly when he gets them and explodes out while getting low on the crossover, to then smoothly places off the glass before Draymond can get to it. It's crucial that defenders give themselves space to stay directly in front of him on these pursuits, because once he has your momentum sliding in one direction, well, here's where he pulls the trick out the bag with this slight push into a carryover the other way, and now he's laying it up with relative ease. Take this play here for an example. Shai really isn't a threat from 30 feet away from the basket, so Keegan Murray shouldn't be this high up on the screen. But since he is up high and is shading Shai towards the left, this makes it easy for him to burst downhill with a head of steam to then feed Sabonis in and out, and at this point, you can see Sabonis is out of position, Shai has a clear lane to attack, and the finish is elementary. So not only should you not shade him one way completely, but you shouldn't allow your big man to switch onto him, because now you have no rim protection down low, allowing Shai to drive right past easily, and with his fluid in-air movement, he can show the ball to force a contest, and then go under to finish on the other side of the rim. When you put your trust in the bigs to stop Shai on his path to the basket, you're really taking a big gamble, as here Wiggins funnels Shai right into Dario, and with that burst of speed, he stands no chance at stopping Shai from getting to the bucket. That change of pace can totally cook bigs and smaller defenders, and once arriving at the rim, he can exercise that patience to draw the foul from the big helping. Now for the amount of time Shai does drive the ball, he can't just be predictable, so that's why he must have different ways to attack, and with that change of pace he uses on the court, it simply adds another layer to his game that the defense has to be aware of. He'll initially take his time rocking you to sleep, and right when you get flat-footed is when he sees the opportunity to fly right past you and get the warm-up layup. Going at Cam Reddish here, you'll notice that Shai starts to slow down, allowing Cam to get flat on his feet, but this right here is a no-no, because once that cross into the attack is started, Cam can no longer stay in front of Shai, and the help defense is just a tad bit too late to stop the drive. When looking at this push here, you can see that Shai goes from full speed to then slowing down when initiating the contact, which makes the defender get in the air prematurely, and the kiss off the glass is easy. These quick stop and goes not only throw off one defender, as if that double does come your way, you can make them get relaxed for a split second, and now they're left watching you lay it in gracefully. I know in real time you might miss it, but when we slow it down, you can see that this simple hezzy makes Keon Ellis get stuck for a split second, but this is all it takes for Shai to then convert the tough and one over Keegan Murray. In this game we love called basketball, everything is about angles and how to exploit the ones the defense gives you. But when you're dealing with elite players, they don't just take what the defense gives them, as they are master innovators and will create angles for themselves out of nothing. Take this play for an example. Dante DiVincenzo is standing right in front of Shai squared up. So at this moment, there's no exact angle to exploit. So by bringing this screen up high, this gives Shai a couple options. He can come off this right side and attack the big man to get downhill, or he can reject the screen and go back towards the middle of the floor. Well, since Dante gets up high to avoid being hit by the screen, this allows Shai to use this in and out to shift Dante even more, and look at what opens up now. A wide open attack towards the rim down the middle. And although Dante tries to give some resistance, Shai goes right through it and completes this with the left hand. Furthermore, you can see on this play versus the Heat that in and out is highly effective once again, as it makes the defenders react greatly due to them wanting to stay attached to Shai over these screens, but this time SGA has Martin waiting for him above the free throw circle, so to combat that, he feeds yet another in and out to make him get choppy feet, and since he can't stay with him, Caleb ends up grabbing Shai while en route, making this an and one bucket. Some of you are probably saying to yourself, well, the in and out is basic and it isn't that hard to do. Well, hold on 1 second. Let's take it up a notch. Now, as we're still discussing the layers to his change of pace, Shai can use any move while stunting hard to make his defender bite, and then when he finally decides to attack downhill, it doesn't matter if a second defender slides over to help, because he'll approach them in a calm manner to then explode into this spin move, sell the contact, and get him a bucket plus one more at the line. Just like we talked about earlier, that rock the baby to sleep works wonders since the defense isn't expecting any abrupt movement, so when he gets into that spin move, it'll leave the defenders on his hip when he's squaring up to the basket, and if the help is a little too late, then we already know what happens next.
Spin cycle, scoop, count it, and the foul.
These herky-jerky movements can make the defenders move in fear when guarding him, and if they're to get too far out of place when he unleashes that spin move, we'll just go ahead and chalk up 2 points on the board. Not only will this gear shift help him when he's pushing downhill towards the basket, but since the defense is so worried about his drive, they won't be ready for these stop on a dime step backs, and the jumper is straight cash. Now, we'll discuss more about his mid-range game another time, but when you have a player driving the ball 23 times a game, attempting 10 field goals on 57%, this alone shows you how elite they are when slashing, but like I stated previously, they have to have many different ways to carve up the defense. That change of pace is just one factor that leads him to getting inside, but what happens when the defense is successful at cutting him off? Well, that's where his smooth and unexpected direction changes come into play. When defenders get too overzealous on his drive, showing their hand too early, Shai will shift back the other way with a cross between the legs, and with that backline of defense just stuck in their tracks, there's no resistance when finishing the layup. At times it'll look as if the defense is in perfect position to cut off the drive when he's coming off a screen, but when you leave even the slightest gap for a slasher like Shai to shoot through, well, best believe he's gonna reroute to attack that gap strong, and to make sure you can't contest, he'll get into your body to bump you off, and then proceed to finish on the other side of the rim. This ability to find different routes to take makes him a great navigator on the court, no matter how much traffic is presented. Let's say both defenders are getting out to this right side early to make this screen action less effective. Well, Shai will shake them with the behind the back, run straight at the help defender to then spin off, leaving them in a whirlwind, and then finish strong despite the contact on the backside for the and one. There's really not much you can throw at Shai to deter him from getting where he wants, because if you do try to blitz him when he starts to attack, well, he'll swiftly cross away from the double to break past the defense, and when presented another obstacle in his way, he'll use that smooth step through to get right to the rim untouched. This skill takes a certain level of craftiness to be able to avoid defenders consistently, but let's say Shai doesn't necessarily want to avoid defenders, but instead use them to his advantage. Well, that's when he'll initiate that off-arm swing. Key example, once Shai initiates that drive to the basket, he'll use that off-arm to hook the defender, which keeps them lashed onto his side, making it highly difficult to ever recover on the drive. To see it again here, Shai used that momentum to swing that arm right into McBride's on the attack, which gives him the leverage on the drive, and if you look closely, you can see that even when taking off, that arm is still engaged, and Shai is able to place this high off the glass for this beautiful conversion. I know a lot of people will call that cheating, call Shai a free throw merchant, and discredit his game, but when you look at some of these key skills that lead to Shai getting to the bucket whenever he wants, you can not only see how crafty he is, but just how much the little things matter when it comes to dissecting the defense inside. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.